This is a sentiment that's being felt across the nation. Alan Fryer putting it into words. We were duped. Yes, you were duped. You were duped into thinking we should go full bore against the United States. And that's what they thought they were actually going to do. But Terry Newman pointing this out. National pride is good. National paranoia is not. We must be wary of turning anti-Americanism into a political program, which everybody loses. Let's get into this. Ladies and gents, welcome back. Elbows up was the term that was used during the election to go after those Americans. Of course, elbows up was an old hockey term saying, like, we're going to fight unfair. We're going to be bad players in this whole thing. And, well, the United States has been saying, yeah, when it comes to trade, you have been. And Mark Carney's likely would agree with you today. He wouldn't agree with you last week or during the whole campaign, but that's nonetheless the fact of the matter. Now, we're going to get into this article here by the National Post. But before we do, I really wanted to give my 2 cents on this. What's worse? What is actually worse? That the people feel duped or that they still want a trade war with the United States of America? This is what's crazy in my estimate. And the sentiment in this article really puts this forward. Greg Kobal putting this article together saying national pride is good. National paranoia isn't. We must be wary of turning anti-Americanism into a political program in which everybody loses. And what's great about this article is it goes over the life of an individual in Canada that actually went forward with this. In this season of surging Canadian nationalism, it's worth remembering that defining ourselves in opposition of the United States is both an old reflex and a risky one. While understandable, even necessary in certain contexts, and excessive anti-Americanism has sometimes led Canada and Canadians down dangerous, counterproductive paths. In fact, I think it's ludicrous, and it's something that's been going on for the longest time. Even Justin Trudeau in his last moments of being Prime Minister of Canada, when in the United States, when asked, what is it to be a Canadian? His first reaction was to say, well, Canadians aren't Americans. And that's, what does that define? But it doesn't even define anything. It's just you're just saying things. You're just word salad, throwing that out there. It means nothing. No case illustrates this better than George Taylor Densham III, a man who let his hostility towards the United States overtake his judgment and his patriotism and ultimately his future. What I mean, the TLDR for this, and I'd love for you guys to read this article, so I'll leave the link in the description down below. This guy was a Canadian back in the day, way back during the Civil War of the United States of America, and he took it upon himself to side with the Confederacy, not because he thought it was a great idea, but because he was worried that if the North won, that the Northerners would come and try to take, they'd be up for more war and come over into Canada. And that was his contention, which is absolutely ridiculous. After the Civil War, both sides were very happy to no longer be in a war. That's what actually occurred. But this is a sentiment. Here's what we've seen recently in Canada from the voter base. And Marty up north saying, can someone do a wellness check on these two? Because this was a couple that was very fervent for Carney during the election.
Woohoo! Canada, you did it. You chose hope over hate. Unity over division.
Trump, take note. This is what democracy looks like.
What? Unity over hate, and then you're like, Trump? Look at this. Well, you think the hate, the division was actually on the part of the Liberals to divide Canada with its largest trading partner in the world, and that was the thing. Of course, they had more to say.
Mark Carney is the leader of Canada and what the world needs right now.
Oh boy.
Someone that's ready to stand strong against Trump and defend democracy.
Tonight, Canada sent a message. Tyranny doesn't win here. Fear doesn't win here. Division doesn't win here.
Canada just proved it to the world. We chose strength. We chose unity. We chose each other.
Well, yeah, you guys chose each other, that's for sure. There's no denying that. But against Trump, the tyranny of Trump, the tyranny of saying, you know what? Why don't we trade on equal footing? That's tyranny, apparently. Well, you know, the old Mark Carney would agree with you because he had this to say during the election.
The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over.
I saw a lot of people trying to say in the last video that I did about this, the Carney was saying, oh, that prosperity for Canada is over. No. This is how a sentence works. The preface of the sentence, and then a bunch of things in the middle as descriptors, and then the thing at the end of the sentence is how you structure a sentence. So the idea that America is going to have this global hegemony over trade is over is the sentence, even if he puts a bunch of caveats in the middle of it. That's how that works, and that's what he was saying. Well, apparently he doesn't agree with himself anymore, because this was the scene just the other day. He said, you know what, we actually have the best deal, and even when there was pushback, he doubled down on that with reporters.
Mr. Carney, thank you for taking our questions. Your critics are going to say that this is an elbows down approach, that you're backing down to Trump. What are you gaining by dropping these tariffs?
So the first thing to say is, let's be clear. We have the best deal of anyone in the world right now.
Yes. There's been a bunch of people saying that for some time, but nobody wants to listen to them on the political stage. Of course, we'll just keep beaking off about it. Now back to the story about this individual who decided that it was more important for him to talk about, and again, I gave you the TLDR, more important for him to side with the Southerners and with the Confederacy over his own interests, everything. He put everything at risk. And he did this in a ludicrous fashion. He just lost his mind, and this happened so long ago. The article reads, Denshin's trajectory is a cautionary tale. His fixation on the American threat led him to support slavery, undermine his country's neutrality, and betray its long-term interests. Even as Canada was profiting from the Union trade and preparing for Confederation to better withstand the continent's changing dynamics, Denshin chose ideology over pragmatism. He wasn't alone in fearing American might. Many Canadian leaders in the 1860s recognized that Britain was no longer willing to guarantee colonial security, and the response of his fathers of Confederation was not to sabotage the United States, but to build a stronger Canada. They believed in joining forces across colonies, creating new rail links, and founding a national government capable of defending itself. That was the patriotic response, not Confederate collaboration, but Canadian cooperation with the United States. And this is where we're at today. We're in a situation where, yeah, that's right, America wants to change fundamentally its structure and how it's going to be doing relations with with Canada, with other countries as a whole. They're restructuring trade, and they're restructuring it in a way that will benefit them. We should be happy for them. We should absolutely be happy for them, and we should be working with them as partners. Instead, we're working as adversaries. Well, we have been up until this point. We'll see how far Mark Carney goes with this, but an adversarial role is not a good role for. We should be Team Fortress North America. We should be working with them. This is not a great idea. In fact, open borders for trade is a much better concept for Canada as a whole. Let's ditch trade protectionism and, dairy farmers in Quebec and a few other people that benefit from trade protectionism. We should become an advanced economy like the United States and integrated with the United States. That would benefit us all much more. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about elbows up, elbows down, everything in between. And we'll see you again in the next one, or we'll see you tonight in the Marty and Clyde show live at 6:30 Pacific. That's 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. Keep on trucking.